$1.6 trillion. That's how much student loan debt Americans have now accumulated, and today it seems the problem may be getting worse. Hear why the student loan crisis may be preventing many millennials from subscribing to our newly launched Patreon, despite the incredibly low monthly subscription fee. And later, as Robert Pattinson continues to recover from COVID-19, we'll sit down with the doctors treating him, who will give us an update on their progress of obtaining the actor's autograph. From The Onion and Onion Public Radio, I'm Leslie Price, and this is The Topical. There are some things money can't buy, but the news ain't one of them, so dig a little deeper into those pockets and stay with us. Debt being taken on by Americans due to student loans has ballooned into a full-fledged crisis in recent years, with the total amount surpassing $1.6 trillion nationally, and the situation appears to only be worsening. A study published today by the Public Radio Center for Education Statistics found that student loan debt is making it even more difficult for millennials to enjoy basic amenities, like subscribing to the Topical's Patreon, despite the extremely low-price membership tiers. For more on this worsening financial situation, we're joined now by OPR Executive Editor Rachel Lynn. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Leslie.
Rachel, if people can't afford a basic necessity like this, it seems like this crisis has really gotten out of control.
That's right, Leslie. According to the study you mentioned, delinquency rates on student loans have doubled since 2012, with over 30% of young professionals reporting they are struggling to afford our extremely generously priced tier options that start at just $5 a month and offer even more of the signature blend of news and analysis that listeners have come to expect from Onion Public Radio.
It's a real travesty. Now, you mentioned these Patreon tiers start at just $5 per month, and to most of us that doesn't sound like a lot, especially when you consider all the unique, one-of-a-kind content available only to patrons. But even something as reasonably priced as this seems to be a stretch for some financially. Is it possible that we could get them hooked early on, maybe while they're still in college and before they're plunged into financial ruin?
We had hoped so, but what you have to realize is that many of these kids are not only full-time students, they're also working multiple jobs in order to stay ahead of their loan payments.
Right.
If students default, they can be forced to pay interest rates and penalties. And when faced with this dire financial reality, many have made the difficult decision to forgo early access to episodes of The Topical and even exclusive access to your weekly Leslie's Mail Sack segment.
Just tragic. Now, many politicians have called for putting an end to this crisis and passing a student debt forgiveness policy, presumably so they too can enjoy offerings like the new original OPR programming available on our $10 tier, as well as the chance to hear me personally thank them by name on air. Are there any policy proposals like this gaining traction in Congress?
Well, people saddled with this kind of debt have been holding out hope for years now. Ever since Democrats from the progressive wing of the party introduced legislation that would offer relief to public radio audiences.
Yeah.
But now, voters are just less optimistic about full forgiveness becoming a reality. They feel like their lawmakers have lost touch with the common podcast listener. And when you consider that a sitting U.S. senator is pulling in $174,000 a year and has no problem affording our highest $25 membership tier, which offers exclusive merchandise and even the chance to be a featured source on an episode of The Topical, it's easy to see why.
Sorry, did you say $174K? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a disservice. Those fat cats in Washington should be helping our listeners give more money to this giant media corporation, and I, for one, will not stand by silently and watch them do nothing. Today, I, Leslie H. Price, am announcing my candidacy and intention to serve as your representative in the United States Congress.
Leslie, I don't think that's such a good idea.
Why not?
Well, you know, the manslaughter.
Oh, come on. That only happened twice, and it was like a month ago. I really don't think anyone's even going to notice.
Okay, whatever you say.
Anyway, thank you, Rachel, and best of luck getting all these cheapskates to sign up for your Patreon. I wish you and everyone here at OPR all the best. But now, I'm off to Washington, and I'm hungry for change. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Back in a moment. Even as the economy continues to plummet, more Americans are looking to become first-time homeowners. And if you're in the market to sell, OPR economic reporter Marcy Hammond is here to share with you one simple trick that is apparently guaranteed to increase your property value.
I am a man of constant sorrow.
That's right, Leslie. After analyzing decades worth of housing market trends, real estate experts noticed across the board that having George Clooney living in your attic is one of the best things you can do for your home's resale value.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say granite countertops.
Then why did you play that clip from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, I'm watching it on my iPad. I'll pause it, though. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I spoke with 6-time Gentrification Magazine award-winning real estate agent Susanna Razzo to find out what harboring the actor, director, and 2-time sexiest man alive in your attic can mean for the value of your home.
Finishing an attic or grungy crawl space with Oscar-winning actor George Clooney shows a 10% annual rate of appreciation. Letting him scrounge around the area above your living quarters, sleeping in the rafters, and watching everything your family does through the air vents, it's one of the surest bets you can make in the real estate market right now. It may be an investment, but I tell all my clients, if you're thinking of redoing your kitchen or upgrading to double-pane windows, forget it. Save yourself the trouble and go with the Clooney.
Interesting. I had a neighbor with a Patrick Stewart in his foyer once, but you could tell they didn't take care of him. Stunk like old tea bags. What's the maintenance like on a Clooney?
Assuming he's installed correctly, relatively minimal. High-grade versions of the Siriana Star are extremely self-sufficient and sometimes even self-cleaning.
Ooh.
Suzanne said that even after 40 years in the business, she's still surprised by how a seemingly simple addition, like a single Hollywood leading man squatting in an otherwise overlooked part of the house, can make a space feel completely different.
All right, you've convinced me. I'm sold. But how do I get a Clooney for my own attic?
Well, Suzanne says that part can be tricky since there's only one to go around, and demand has only grown since a photo of him accompanied by the hashtag attic makeover went viral on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Here she is again.
The most valuable Clooney home I've personally seen came with the original ER-era George. Oh, today it's more luck of the draw, and I would be remiss not to mention that, though an increase in value is all but guaranteed, you do risk catching the former Batman in a pranking phase, which can result in damage to your home.
And what if I can't afford him? Is there a lower cost alternative? Maybe something like a starter hunk so that newer homeowners can work their way up to a larger star.
Well, Suzanne advised all buyers to beware of knockoffs. There is only one certified George Clooney after all, so if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. I know that my husband and I were almost hosed by a contractor once ourselves. He claimed to have a direct source to the one fine day love interest, but when we looked at the fine print, we noticed it was actually a 29-year-old electrician named George Clooney, spelled with an IE at the end.
Yeah, that's why I always verify contractor offers against the official George Clooney IMDb page.
Other experts encourage buyers to gamble on a more modern style, something in the Timothy Chalamet. But you do run the risk that what's popular now may go out of style.
Yeah, I remember in the 70s when everyone was putting Von Dahms around their house. So tacky.
Yeah. In other cases, even some supposedly time-tested Oscar winners can bring more problems than they're worth. I spoke to 2 families that tried to cut corners.
We had been looking for a home for years, holding out hope that we'd find something in our price range with a Clooney, before finally settling for something in a Matt Damon. Didn't love it. We went over him with 7 coats of paint, but we still can't get rid of him.
I just wish we put in the Clooney when we had the chance. The guy down the block put in the Clooney, sold his place for 400 times the asking price. Shit, the whole neighborhood went up in value, except our place. We went with the prime Kevin Spacey. We were told by the seller its appeal would outlast the house itself. Now we can't give the thing away. God damn it. Should have put in the Clooney.
A cautionary tale for all homeowners. Thank you, Marcy.
My pleasure.
That's OPR's Marcy Hammond. We'll be back in a moment. Owls. When we're putting on our PJs, they're just waking up to start their day. And when we're waking up, they're in their nests putting on PJs of their own. But why? Scientists have long wondered about the predatory bird's unusual sleeping habits, but a new study now attributes the owl's nocturnal lifestyle to their hard cocaine habits. Here with the details is OPR Nightbeat bird correspondent Charles Dearborn. Charles, are you there?
Who's asking?
Who? Me, the Topicals host, Leslie Price. Oh. Oh, you meant who like an owl says who. That is just too cute. Oh, God. Charles, tell us more about this study, a little scamp.
Gladly. In a groundbreaking report released in the scientific journal Nature, ornithologists at Bowdoin College in Maine made the case that all owls struggle with a severe cocaine addiction that keeps them up from sunset to the wee hours of the morning. Here's the study's lead researcher, Dr. Nathaniel Wheelwright.
Our findings suggest that owls are alert throughout the night due to their penchant for snorting lines of blow in dark forests and empty barns, either alone or with their owl buddies. These birds stay yipped up for hours, ripping rails pretty much non-stop between their hunt for small mammals and insects. Their dilated pupils and darting head movements are telltale signs that these birds party hard.
Sounds like a big drug problem for such little cuties. Charles, what led researchers to conclude that owls go gaga for booger sugar?
Well, Wheelwright and his team examined dozens of owl species and discovered several common behaviors that tip them off that the birds may be hardcore drug users.
And when you say hardcore drug users, this isn't just taking a bump off someone's talon at a crazy owl party. You're saying all owls are using copious amounts of coke.
Correct. This is much more serious than that. Here's Dr. Wheelwright again.
In our clinical examination of great horned owls, we see all the hallmarks of extreme cocaine use. Owls routinely suffer nosebleeds, insomnia, and a major lack of appetite, which is why they tend to swallow their food whole. Mentally, all 225 species of owl are prone to extreme mood swings, paranoia, and rash decision-making due to their dependence on the yayo. Many owls struggle financially, with the majority of birds having no money at all, as anything they can save goes to feed their habit.
That's terrible. I love their fluffy feathers and big coke-addled eyes. These owls need to get clean.
Highly unlikely for these majestic creatures. Everyone knows an addict has to decide for themselves that they're ready to stop using. And sadly, owls just fucking love cocaine.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I guess you could say that when it comes to sobriety, owls don't give a hoot.
Oh! Charles, you imp! That was a very sad story, but I gotta give you credit for ending it on a high note.
Ooh, me?
Oh! You already did that one! Oh, I just love it! Oh, thank you, Charles. Oh, we'll be right back. Well, folks, after a very quick and surface-level vetting process, it looks like I won't be running for office this year, or ever, really. So it looks like this student loan problem isn't going away anytime soon. Good thing all of your mommies and daddies are still around to pay for everything. So instead of serving as your lawmaker, I think I'll just return to my post here as your one and only source of vital information. Now let's get you informed. Here's what else you need to know today. President Trump is looking to do some damage control today after coming under fire for some quotes attributed to him in Bob Woodward's latest book, Rage. The president is planning to again sit down with Woodward for a dozen or so more interviews in an effort to mitigate some of the damage done by the original interview. Well, that's just smart politics. And exciting news in tech today. Apple has unveiled their latest model of the popular Apple Watch, which now comes complete with rabbit ear antennas that can pick up around 5 local channels. Apple CEO Tim Cook announced the new Apple Watch Series 6 at a keynote address, where he demonstrated the watch's ability to receive local affiliates of NBC, PBS, and the CW with minimal static, so long as you don't go anywhere and hold really still. And finally, a bit of alarming news as experts have confirmed that you're next. Leading officials as well as top researchers have duly concluded that there's nothing you can do to stop it and not to worry as it will all be over soon. Tough break. And that's The Topical for today. I'm Leslie Price. If you enjoyed today's episode of The Topical, well, then I have a pretty big announcement that may come as quite a pleasant surprise to you. That's right. As of today, you, our loyal friends and listeners, can sign up to become a member of The Topical's Patreon. Membership tiers start at just $5 a month, and you'll get access to all kinds of exclusive news content and merchandise. And right now, we have an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to make an episode of The Topical each and every day. Here's a clip.
Although the day is off to a racing start across all departments, one can argue that work for the day's topical episode actually started the evening before, at Leslie's home. Each night before he goes to sleep, the topical host starts gathering all the day's news by placing sensor pads on his temples that are connected to a loud, 200-degree Fahrenheit machine twice the size of his bed. The machine was specifically built to collect every news article and broadcast from across the world and then convert them into brainwaves. Those waves are then sent through the sensors on Leslie's temples and into his temporal lobes, providing him constant jolts throughout his sleep, just like they did last night.
fascinating peek behind the curtain, and it's only available on Patreon. So sign up to become a patron today at www.patreon.com/thetopical. It's a great way to support a giant media conglomerate, and it'll really help me out with my holiday shopping this year. So what are you waiting for? Go sign up now, and we'll see you tomorrow. The news doesn't stop just because this YouTube video has. For even more on all the worst things happening in the world right now, listen and subscribe to The Topical on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, you insatiable news freaks.